Hello learners, I welcome you all to this teleconferencing session on continental drift theory, and this is for a course on physical geography of our BSc General program. We have a block on lithosphere, and this topic related to continental drift theory is related to the block 2 on lithosphere. So, when we speak about the continental drift theory, what do you understand? I'm actually talking about the drifting of continents, and it is a hypothesis. The continental drift is a hypothesis that relates to the drifting of continents in a long geological period of time and over the ocean bed. So, the first one to give about drifting of continent was Antonio Schneider, and he gave the possibility of drifting of continents in the year 1858. Then the horizontal displacement of continents was also discussed by Taylor in the year 1908, but this theory related to drifting of continents became popular when Wegener postulated his theory in the year 1912, and his concepts were elaborated in a book named Die Entstehung der Kontinente und Oceane in the year 1922, and it became all the more popular after that. Actually, Wegener was a meteorologist, and he wanted to explain the change of climates over the geological past. So he considered that there might be two possibilities: either the climatic zones have shifted or the continents have shifted. He felt that the latter possibility regarding the drifting of continents was more accurate. So according to him, the continents have drifted over a long geological period of time, and he came and gave the theory of continental drift. Now, after viewing this video program, you should be able to explain the process of drifting of continents, correlate with different evidences given in support of drifting of continents, then identify the loopholes or criticisms related to this theory, and analyze the theory as per recent researches in the area. Now, coming on to the basic premise of the theory, Wegener's theory was based on the work of Suess, who considered Earth to be made of internal structure of Earth to be of three layers. The outer one was considered to be the Sial, which consists of silicon and aluminum, as you can say, Si and Al. So it was having lesser density compared to the middle layer, which is called Sima, which is silicon and magnesium. It is of greater density, and the densest is the core, which is made up of nickel and ferrous, that is heavy metals. So it is having a density, much higher density compared to the Sial and Sima. So Wegener considered that continents are sialic masses floating on the denser Sima, that is floating on the ocean bed, and in this way they drifted. Now he considered that the land masses were united during the Carboniferous period in the form of a major continental block, which is called Pangaea. You can see in this figure that Pangaea is shown where all the continental masses are together, and after that they started breaking from this huge continental, or the giant continent, you can say. So Pangaea was surrounded by Panthalassa, which is the primeval Pacific Ocean, and during the Carboniferous period they started drifting. So the northern part of Pangaea was called the Laurasia. It consisted of North America and Eurasia, and southern part was called the Gondwana land, and it consisted of the South America, Africa, Antarctica, Australia, and the Indian Peninsula. So, Laurasia or the northern part of the Pangaea was also called Angara land. And as I've told you, it consisted of North America, Europe, Asia, Greenland, and other things. Now you've understood this figure. This is the Pangaea, and the surrounding water mass is the Panthalassa, which is the primeval Pacific Ocean. Now Wagner attributed two forces responsible for the drifting of continents. Obviously there should be a force due to which the continents have drifted. So he felt that out of those two forces, one was the gravitational and buoyant force, which are acting opposite to each other. You see the gravitational force is acting towards acting downwards, and the buoyant force is acting upwards. But in a due to spheroidal shape of the earth, these were not in actual opposition, so the resultant force was directed towards the equator. And you know, in this way all the continents started drifting towards the equatorwards. From the giant continent, that is the Pangaea, the land masses started drifting towards the equatorwards. And during the mid-Paleozoic period, you know, the equator was passing through the temperate regions. So the continents started moving northwards towards the current temperate areas. And the second force was related to the attraction force of the moon. And Wagner said that due to this, the continents also started moving westwards. You know, the earth is moving from west to east, and when you'll study the tides and currents, you'll study that the tides are moving westwards towards the west. So since continents are moving again due to the attraction of moon, so they are also moving westwards. Wagner explained the movement of some of the continental masses towards the west in this way due to the lunar attraction force. And you know, as I've told you, that disruption began in the Carboniferous period. So first Tethys Sea was formed between Angara land and Gondwana land, that is between Laurasia and Gondwana land. Tethys Sea was formed between them. You can see in this figure, this is the Permian period, and the land masses are united in the form of Pangaea. And then after Carboniferous period, this Tethys Sea has come out between Laurasia and Gondwana land. And then during the Mesozoic period, that is during the Jurassic, Triassic, Jurassic period, the Gondwana land also started breaking, like the African masses, the Indian peninsula, all started moving towards the north. And in this way, you see, Indian Ocean is formed in between. Indian Ocean was formed, and Antarctica also moved towards the south. And after that, during the Tertiary period, the North America and South America, in this figure you can see the North America and the South America is moving westwards. So you can see that oceans are also forming in this way, and the area of Panthalassa, or the primeval Pacific Ocean, is getting reduced and new oceans are being formed. So you can see Atlantic Ocean is formed in between this North America and between African land masses and American land masses. And similarly, Indian Ocean is also formed when the Indian peninsula is moving towards the north. So this part is Indian Ocean. Similarly, Arctic Ocean and North Sea was also formed when the continental masses started moving towards the equator from the North Pole, and this terminology was called as pole flux. That is, the continents are moving from away from the pole, or flying away from the pole, drifting away from the polar areas. So it is called, terminology was given as pole fluct. So Panthalassa, as I told you, was reduced and it became the Pacific Ocean. In this way, different oceans were also formed, like Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, Arctic Ocean, and North Sea, and other water bodies were also formed. And area of Pacific Ocean was very much reduced. So, this disruption of continents started over here from the Carboniferous period and continued till the Mesozoic and the early Cenozoic era. And in this way, the present form of continents and oceans were formed. You can see in this figure also, or after the drifting, this is the current arrangement of continents and oceans that we find now. Wagner also explained the formation of tertiary fold mountains. These are young fold mountains, and you see that the sediments of Tethys, when the African peninsula and African continental mass and the Indian peninsula was moving northwards towards the Eurasian mainland. So the Tethys Sea was there in between these two land masses, and when these were pressing against or moving northwards, the sediments of the Tethys Sea were squeezed and buckled or pressed, and they formed a mighty chain of fold mountains from right from Pyrenees in Europe to Alps in Europe, and then Atlas Mountains in Africa, and then towards the mighty Himalayan mountains in the Asian region. You can see this in figure. When the continents, these African landmass and the Indian peninsula was moving towards the north and pressing against the Eurasian landmass. So this was the primeval Tethys Sea, which existed between the Laurasia, or the northern part of Pangaea, and the southern part, that is Gondwana land. So this the sediments of the Tethys Sea was pressed, buckled, and squeezed in the form of mighty fold mountains, starting from, you can see, Pyrenees in Europe, Alps in Europe, and Atlas Mountains in Africa. All the sediments were squeezed in the form of major fold mountains. So in this way, Wagner explained the formation of some of the major fold mountains. Now, these Rockies and Andes along the western shores of western part of North America and South America are also fold mountains. So Wagner explained the formation of these fold mountains because as these land masses, that is the North American and South American landmass, was moving towards west, so they underwent some kind of friction from the SEMA, or the oceanic crust, and in this way the margins of these continents were folded in the form of fold mountains. So I'll explain later that this was one of the major criticism also of Wagner, because earlier Wagner said that cealic masses are floating on the denser SEMA without any resistance, and he is nullifying his own assumption by saying that Rockies and Andes are formed when the continents are moving westwards. These North America and South America is moving westward, and it is undergoing some kind of friction from the oceanic crust, and in this way the continents are margins are folded, and this way Rockies and Andes have formed. So he explained, in his theory, he explained the formation of tertiary fold mountains in this way. And he also explained the formation of several island arcs and festoons, like around the eastern Asia, you see Aleutian Islands are here. So he explained that these were part of this Eurasian landmass only. But when the continents were drifting, they could not keep pace with this giant landmass, and they were left behind. So, in this way, these island arcs were formed, which were left behind the main continental blocks. And he also explained the formation of several islands along the South America Falkland Islands, and the West Indies islands also were explained in this way. So Wegener explained the formation of tertiary fold mountains. Apart from drifting of continents and current arrangement of continents and oceans, Wegener also explained the formation of tertiary fold mountains and island arcs and festoons. Now, what were the evidences that went in support of this Wegener's theory? After discussing the evidences, we will also discuss the criticism, and then we'll study the Wegener's theory under present circumstances. So, what were the evidences? You can see the zigzag fitting of continents is seen. Then the nature of coastline is similar along both sides of Atlantic Ocean. In this figure, you can see the zigzag fitting of continents. Like you can see the western part of African continent is fitting with the eastern part of South American continent, and just like a zigzag, you can see all the other continents are also fitting in the form of zigzag fitting. So evidences was that continental shapes along both sides of Atlantic and other places were similar. So this might have happened. So it went in favor of this theory. Besides this, the nature of coastline was also similar. Like you can see in this figure, the western coast of Africa and along the eastern coast of South America, you can see that the rock structures are also similar. These are older than around, the black ones are older than around 2000 million years ago. So they appear to be in continuity. And these, the lighter ones, are also around 600 to 2000 million years ago. So they appear to be in continuity along both the coastlines. So it suggests that continents were united at one time and they have drifted apart. This was another evidence. Now there are other climatological evidences also, like presence of huge deposits of coal in Siberia suggests that they once had tropical rainforest like conditions, and now they are in much higher latitude. Besides this, Carboniferous glaciation was found in Indian Peninsula, Brazilian area, and other areas which are currently under the tropical regions. But evidences of glaciation show that they once were a temperate region, or they happen to be in higher latitudes, and they have shifted from their location from the temperate regions to tropical regions. Besides this, coral reefs are also found on higher latitudes, and as we know that they are found, they are usually occur around the tropical latitudes. So for evidences of coral reefs in higher latitudes also suggest that the continents have drifted from their location, and the reefs are still there lying over the temperate regions. They once may be in the tropical regions. Then there are evidences of flora and fauna also. like remnants of Glossopteris fauna is also found across the continents. So it suggests that they might have been the continents might have been united, and then they have drifted apart. And there's one animal called lemming, which is a native of Scandinavian region, and when their number increases, they start moving towards the west and drown themselves in the sea. So this behavior suggests that in long back, continents might have been together, and in might have been one landmass, and so the lemmings are moving towards the west and drowning themselves into the ocean. Now, what are the criticisms related to this theory? As I have already discussed, that this theory is based on evidences, and it lacked scientific explanation, like the gravitational pull of Earth and lunar attraction of force was too feeble to drift the continents. So it suggests that these forces were not so strong that they might have drifted the such mighty continents apart. Besides, on a spherical body, up to which latitude or up to which longitude you say it is west, and where the drifting will stop. Besides this, although I saw the figure related to the jigsaw fitting of continents, but jigsaw fitting is also having a lot of gaps at several places. So, how do you fill that gap? And he also contradicted, as I have already told you, that he contradicted his assumption that Sial is floating on Sima without any friction. But he explained the formation of Rockies and Andes mountains when the continents were moving towards west, and they experienced friction, and in this way the margins of the continents were squeezed into major fold mountains. So he contradicted his own assumptions. Besides, he ignored a lot of climatic evidences in his theory, which he could have given and augmented his theory. And he could not explain the structure of Caribbean islands, because as per him, the island arcs and festoons were formed. They were actually a part of the continental masses, and they could not keep pace with the drifting of the major blocks, continental blocks, and they were left behind. So their structure should have been made up of Sialic masses. But the Caribbean islands were having basaltic structure, or they were having structure similar to the oceanic bed or Sima. He also could not explain the geographical location of Australia and Antarctica. Besides, he failed to correlate the continental drift with the cause of earthquakes and volcanoes. Now, his theory could not be written off easily, because recent researches in the field suggest that continental drift has happened, and currently also there are evidences which show that continental drift is actually happening. But the forces related to the drifting of continents could have been modified, because Wegener's force related to gravitational and beyond force and lunar attraction force was not enough. So, NASA report of 1984 confirmed the jigsaw fitting of continents, because when we study the relief features of the ocean, we see that first we have a sloping landmass, like edge of the continent, which is in the form of continental shelf, gently sloping area, and then we have a greater slope area which is called the continental slope. And NASA confirmed that okay, it is not, the jigsaw fitting is having a lot of gap along the continental shelf area, which is gently sloping area, but along the continental slope the jigsaw fitting is happening, and with only 2% error. So he actually NASA studies actually confirmed the jigsaw fitting of continents. Besides, Holmes' convection current theory also gave the also augmented the drifting of continental theory, like but the forces, he said that it was not the lunar attraction force or the gravitational force, but it was the force was the convection currents. Now, what are convection currents? As we know that as we go below the surface of Earth, temperature increases at the rate of 1 degree centigrade per 32 meters. So deeper we go, temperature keeps on increasing, and at one point of time in the substratum, the outermost is the crust, and then we reach the intermediate layer of Earth, that is the substratum. There the temperature becomes so high that convection currents are generated, and these currents are so strong that they can actually move the continents apart. If the convection currents are rising up, well, then and when they'll reach the crustal, they will move apart, and in this way a force is generated due to which the continental blocks are moving apart. And where the convection currents are falling, there is a, there is a subduction zone is created, and when you study the mountain building or Holmes convection current theory related to building of mountains, these concepts will become more clear. And then there was sea floor spreading study of Harry Hess in 1960, who also confirmed that not only continents but ocean floor is also spreading. And along the there's a permanent zone of upwelling along the mid-oceanic ridges, where the sea floor is moving apart, and there is accretion or the collection of magma material along the those oceanic margins. And later, plate tectonic theory also explained and clarified all the concept related to origin of continents and oceans, or the drifting of continents, when it explained that plates are actually in motion, not the continents, not the oceans. And these plates are of three types, that is continental plate, oceanic plate, or continental cum oceanic plate. You will learn about these concepts when in subsequent sessions. And so all these studies have further confirmed the continental drift with few modifications related to forces responsible for the drifting of continents. So in this session, you studied about the process of drifting of continents. You studied about the evidences related to the drifting of continents, and how the present shape of continents and oceans have arrived. And then you studied about the major criticisms related to this theory, and finally the status of this theory in current times with the help of recent researchers in the area. Thank you.
We wear clothes on a daily basis, but have we ever wondered, where do our clothes come from? Who makes our clothing? And who are the people and the process responsible for the whole manufacturing of our clothing? If you want to know more about this, Indira Gandhi National Open University from the School of Continuing Education has launched a program which is Certificate in Apparel Merchandising. There are many benefits after doing this program. You can become a designer in various fields. It can be fashion designer, apparel designer, costume designer, or even a textile designer. One can also work as a fashion consultant. Research and development is another field which one can take up after doing this certificate course. Going into academics is another perk after doing this program. Getting into fashion houses or fashion studios as an intern is also a very good option post doing the certificate in apparel merchandising. The basic eligibility of the program is 10+2. The duration of the program is 6 months to 2 years. The program is also available for both the admission cycles, which is July and January. The exams are conducted twice a year, in June and December. So what are you waiting for? Join this program and get an enriching knowledge in the field of apparel merchandising. And to do so, you can log on to the official website of the university, www.ignou.ac.in.
आज हम यहाँ एमए हिंदी व्यावसायिक लेखन पर चर्चा करने के लिए उपस्थित हुए हैं। हमारे साथ मानविकी विद्यापीठ की वरिष्ठ प्रोफेसर स्मिता चतुर्वेदी जी उपस्थित हैं, जो आपको एमए हिंदी व्यावसायिक लेखन पाठ्यक्रम से अवगत कराएंगी। साथ ही एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर रीता सिन्हा भी यहाँ उपस्थित हैं। आप इस परिचर्चा को आगे बढ़ाएंगी। जैसा कि विदित है आप सभी को कि एमए हिंदी व्यावसायिक लेखन इग्नू द्वारा मानविकी विद्यापीठ द्वारा प्रारंभ किया जा रहा है और यह पाठ्यक्रम 72 क्रेडिट का है। यह डिग्री कोर्स है, 2 वर्षीय पाठ्यक्रम है। प्रथम वर्ष में 36 क्रेडिट का पाठ्यक्रम रहेगा और जो द्वितीय वर्ष होगा उसमें भी 36 क्रेडिट का। इसके अंतर्गत 5 प्रश्न पत्र होंगे। पहला प्रश्न पत्र होगा हिंदी काव्य MSD 1, दूसरा आधुनिक हिंदी काव्य होगा MSD 2, उपन्यास एवं कहानी MSD 3, नाटक और अन्य गतिविधियाँ MSD 4, हिंदी भाषा और साहित्य का इतिहास MSD 6। इसी तरह से द्वितीय वर्ष में जनसंचार का सामान्य अध्ययन, समाचार पत्र और फीचर लेखन MHB 7, रेडियो माध्यम भाग 1 और भाग 2 MHB 8, टेलीविज़न लेखन भाग 1 और टेलीविज़न लेखन भाग 2 MHB 9, सिनेमा लेखन MHB 10, अनुवाद और जनसंचार MTT 16 है। इस तरह से कुल मिलाकर 72 क्रेडिट का यह पाठ्यक्रम है, जो हिंदी के विद्यार्थियों के लिए अत्यंत उपयोगी पाठ्यक्रम है। यह मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी पाठ्यक्रम है। निश्चित रूप से इससे विद्यार्थी लाभान्वित होंगे। हमारे बीच प्रोफेसर स्मिता चतुर्वेदी मैडम उपस्थित हैं। आपसे आग्रह है कि जो प्रथम वर्ष के पाठ्यक्रम हैं हिंदी काव्य MSD 1 और MSD 3, MSD 4, रीता जी इस पर चर्चा करेंगे, लेकिन उसके पहले स्मिता जी आधुनिक हिंदी काव्य, उपन्यास एवं कहानी एवं हिंदी भाषा और साहित्य का इतिहास के बारे में डिटेल में हमें जानकारी देंगी। तो सर्वप्रथम रीता जी से आग्रह है कि हिंदी काव्य के बारे में आप कुछ हमारे विद्यार्थियों को बताएं।
नमस्कार, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर नरेंद्र मिश्र जी। दरअसल हम लोगों ने जो पाठ्यक्रम निर्धारित किया है और जो सबकी सहमति से जो पाठ्यक्रम की रूपरेखा हम लोगों ने बनाई है, वह बिल्कुल जो हमारी राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति 2020 है उसके अनुरूप है। और हम लोगों ने यह ध्यान रखा है कि प्रथम वर्ष में जो पारंपरिक हमारी हिंदी की पढ़ाई चलती है और जिस तरह के पाठ्यक्रम रखे जाते रहे हैं, हम लोगों ने उन्हीं को रखा है पाठ्यक्रम में, जो UGC नेट के सिलेबस के भी अनुरूप है। तो MSD 1 में मैं बतलाना चाहती हूँ कि MSD 1 में आदिकालीन काव्य हैं और भक्तिकालीन काव्य हैं। आदिकालीन काव्य में पृथ्वीराज रासो बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण काव्य है और इसको नेट में भी UGC नेट के सिलेबस में भी रखा गया है। उसी तरह विद्यापति हैं, जो न केवल मैथिल कोकिल कहलाते हैं बल्कि हिंदी में भी जो गीति काव्य की परंपरा है उसमें विद्यापति का बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण स्थान है और हम विद्यापति की को अलग हटाकर हिंदी की परिकल्पना नहीं कर सकते। तो MSD 1 में मैं बतलाना चाहती हूँ कि पृथ्वीराज रासो के भिन्न भिन्न पक्ष हो, चाहे वह कला पक्ष हो चाहे वह शिल्प पक्ष हो, का मूल्यांकन किया जाएगा और उसका पूरा विश्लेषण किया जाएगा। साथ ही साथ जो भक्तिकालीन काव्य हैं, सगुण और निर्गुण, दोनों को इस पाठ्यक्रम में स्थान दिया गया है। तुलसी हमारे लिए आज भी बहुत प्रासंगिक हैं, उसी तरह कबीर आज भी हमारे लिए बहुत प्रासंगिक हैं और उनके जो दर्शन हैं वह आज भी सबके लिए बहुत ही अनुकरणीय है। उसी तरह सूर ने भी जन को महत्व दिया, यानी सभी लोक संपृक्त कवि रहे हैं और साहित्य में लोक संपृक्ति का बहुत महत्वपूर्ण स्थान होता है। लोक संपृक्ति के बिना साहित्य की परिकल्पना नहीं की जा सकती या साहित्य बहुत कालजयी नहीं माना जा सकता है। उसी तरह जो हम लोग जायसी हैं, जायसी को भी इसमें रखा गया है और रीतिकालीन काव्य भी इस पाठ्यक्रम के अंतर्गत रखे गए हैं, जिसमें बिहारी हैं, जैसे घनानंद है, पद्माकर हैं, यानी ये जो विशिष्ट कवि हैं उनको हम लोगों ने इस पाठ्यक्रम में स्थान दिया है। अब मैं MHD 4 की चर्चा करती हूँ, जिसमें कि नाटक और कथेतर गद्य को रखा गया है। और नाटक हमारे लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। आधुनिक युग में जो दृश्य विधा के रूप में नाटक ने अपनी भूमिका अदा की है और जिस तरह लोगों को साहित्य की ओर और युगीन यथार्थ की ओर आकर्षित किया है, उससे हम सभी परिचित हैं। भारतेंदु के नाटक को महत्व दिया गया है, उनके सभी नाटकों की चर्चा है, लेकिन जो विश्लेषण किया जाएगा उसमें अंधेर नगरी को केंद्र में रखा गया है। उसी तरह जयशंकर प्रसाद के नाटक भी बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। ऐतिहासिक और साहित्यिक दृष्टि से इसमें स्कंद गुप्त की पढ़ाई होगी इस पाठ्यक्रम के अंतर्गत। मोहन राकेश ने नाटक के क्षेत्र में नए प्रयोग किए और बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण उनके अवदान हैं साहित्य के क्षेत्र में। तो आधे अधूरे जो मध्य वर्ग पर आधारित नाटक है उसको इस पाठ्यक्रम में रखा गया है। इसी तरह अंधा युग धर्मवीर भारती का जो नाट्य काव्य है बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। आज भी वह बहुत अधिक प्रासंगिक है। मिथ के आधार पर युगीन यथार्थ का जिस तरह उसमें चित्रण किया गया है वह आज भी हम देखते हैं बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण और बहुत प्रासंगिक है। इसको इसमें जगह दी गई है। इसके अतिरिक्त इसमें संस्मरण है, रिपोर्टाज हैं, जीवनी है और साक्षात्कार हैं, यात्रा वृतांत है। यानी कोई भी विधा ऐसी नहीं है साहित्य की और गद्य की जिसको इस पाठ्यक्रम के अंतर्गत स्थान नहीं दिया गया है। जी
धन्यवाद रीता जी। जैसा कि आपने अभी हिंदी काव्य और नाटक एवं अन्य गद्य विधाओं के बारे में जानकारी दी, स्मिता जी उपन्यास और कहानी में क्या रखा गया है और क्यों ये उपयोगी है, विद्यार्थियों को क्यों पढ़ना चाहिए, इसके बारे में कुछ आप प्रकाश डालें।
धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर नरेंद्र मिश्र जी। मैं अपने सभी दर्शकों का करबद्ध स्वागत करती हूँ और मुझे आशा है कि आप लोग इस कार्यक्रम के प्रति उत्सुक हैं, उत्साहित हैं और हमारे इस कार्यक्रम में प्रवेश भी लेंगे। तो मैं आप सबको इसके लिए शुभकामनाएं देती हूँ। जैसा कि अभी प्रोफेसर मिश्र ने और प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर रीता जी ने बताया इस पाठ्यक्रम के बारे में कि इसकी विशिष्टता क्या है। वस्तुतः जो प्रथम वर्ष का पाठ्यक्रम है वो आप देखेंगे कि ये पूरी तरह से हिंदी साहित्य पर आधारित है और जो द्वितीय वर्ष का पाठ्यक्रम है इस स्नातकोत्तर उपाधि का, वो पूरी तरह से जनसंचार और उसके अन्य जो अंग हैं जैसे सिनेमा है, रेडियो है, टेलीविज़न है, इन सब पर आधारित है। तो प्रथम वर्ष के पाठ्यक्रमों को हमारा जो आपको पढ़ाने का जो एक उद्देश्य है वो ये है कि आप हिंदी साहित्य से भी उतना ही परिचित हों जितना जनसंचार के अन्य माध्यमों से भी परिचित हों, ताकि अगर आप आगे चलकर साहित्य के क्षेत्र में उच्चतर शिक्षा प्राप्त करना चाहें या आगे बढ़ना चाहें तो आपके लिए सुविधाजनक हो। उसी तरह से अगर आप मीडिया के क्षेत्रों में जाना चाहेंगे तो द्वितीय वर्ष का पाठ्यक्रम आपके लिए बहुत उपयोगी होगा। लेकिन आपके मन में ज़रूर प्रश्न उठ रहा होगा कि प्रथम वर्ष में हम साहित्य क्यों पढ़ा रहे हैं। आप देखेंगे कि जनसंचार के जितने भी माध्यम हैं, चाहे आप रेडियो ले लीजिए, टेलीविज़न ले लीजिए, सिनेमा ले लीजिए या समाचार पत्र ही ले लीजिए, सभी में साहित्य कहीं ना कहीं उपस्थित अवश्य होता है। रेडियो में हम धारावाहिक के रूप में साहित्य को प्रसारित करते हैं। सिनेमा साहित्य के आधार पर भी बहुत सारा बनाया गया है, चाहे वो विश्व साहित्य के आधार पर हो, भारतीय साहित्य के आधार पर हो, हिंदी साहित्य के आधार पर हो। प्रेमचंद की बहुत सी कहानियों पर फिल्म बनी है, टेलीविज़न के बहुत सारे सीरियल्स बने, आप सबने देखे होंगे। तो इसलिए ये आवश्यक है कि आप साहित्य का अध्ययन करें और हिंदी भाषा से, हिंदी साहित्य से परिचित हों, जिससे कि आप जब मीडिया के क्षेत्र में कदम बढ़ाना चाहें तो आपके लिए हिंदी भी लाभकारी हो और लेखन में भी आपके लिए बहुत सारी सुविधाएं उपलब्ध हों। अब आइए बात करते हैं प्रथम वर्ष के उन पाठ्यक्रमों की जिसके बारे में प्रोफेसर मिश्र जी ने आपको बताया। प्रथम वर्ष के 2 पाठ्यक्रमों की जानकारी तो आपको डॉक्टर रीता सिन्हा जी ने दी, MHD 1 और MHD 4 की। अब बाकी 3 पाठ्यक्रम जो हैं उसमें से एक जो MHD 2 है वो आधुनिक हिंदी कविता पर आधारित है, जिसके बारे में विस्तार से अभी आपको प्रोफेसर मिश्र बताएंगे। मैं आपसे 2 पाठ्यक्रमों की विशेष रूप से चर्चा करना चाहती हूँ। एक है MHD 3 जो उपन्यास और कहानी से संबद्ध है और एक है MHD 6 जो हिंदी भाषा और साहित्य के इतिहास से संबद्ध है। अब आपके मन में प्रश्न ये भी उठ रहा होगा कि हम हिंदी भाषा और साहित्य के इतिहास का अध्ययन क्यों करें। वस्तुतः जब हम साहित्य के किसी भी पाठ्यक्रम को पढ़ते हैं, चाहे वो हम कविता पढ़ें, चाहे उपन्यास पढ़ें, चाहे गद्य की किसी भी विधा को पढ़ें, हमें उसके लेखक और उसके पूरे परिदृश्य को, उसकी पृष्ठभूमि को जानने और समझने के लिए साहित्य के इतिहास की आवश्यकता पड़ती है। वो किस युग में हुआ, उस समय की युगीन परिस्थितियाँ क्या थीं, उस पर किन परिस्थितियों का प्रभाव पड़ा, उसने जो लेखन किया वो वैसा क्यों किया। जैसे मान लीजिए अगर हम भक्ति काल की बात करते हैं तो भक्ति काल में तुलसी भी लिख रहे थे, कबीर भी लिख रहे थे, मीरा भी लिख रही थी, और जैसा कि अभी रीता जी ने बताया जायसी जी भी लिख रहे थे। अब इन चारों के साहित्य में अंतर क्यों है, क्या है, किस लिए है, और इनका क्या व्यक्तित्व और कृतित्व रहा होगा, ये इन सब की जानकारी आपको साहित्य के इतिहास से मिल सकती है। यानी साहित्य के इतिहास का अध्ययन करने से आप उस युग की, उस विशेष युग की परिस्थितियों से, प्रवृत्तियों से, कि क्या साहित्य उस समय लिखा जा रहा था, क्या विशिष्ट साहित्य लिखा जा रहा था, उन सब से परिचित होंगे जो साहित्य के मूल्यांकन के लिए आपके लिए आवश्यक है। चाहे आप कहानी का मूल्यांकन करें, चाहे उपन्यास का मूल्यांकन करें, चाहे किसी कवि का मूल्यांकन करें, उसकी कृति का मूल्यांकन करें। अब आप देखेंगे कि जो हिंदी भाषा और साहित्य यानी MHD 6 है, इसमें आपको भाषा के इतिहास से भी परिचित कराया जा रहा है, भाषा के विकास से भी परिचित कराया जा रहा है। हिंदी भाषा किस तरह से साहित्यिक रूप में आगे चलकर विकसित हुई और किन भाषाओं से विकसित हुई, कैसे ये भाषाएं आगे बढ़ीं, संस्कृत, अपभ्रंश, पाल, प्राकृत, इन सब का परिचय आपको इस पाठ्यक्रम में दिया जाएगा, ताकि आपको पता चले कि धीरे धीरे जो खड़ी बोली हिंदी है ये किस तरह से विकसित हुई और आगे चलकर किस तरह से इसके साहित्य में परिवर्तन आया। अब आइए कुछ चर्चा करते हैं MHD 3 पर। MHD 3 हिंदी उपन्यास और हिंदी कहानी से संबद्ध पाठ्यक्रम है। इस पाठ्यक्रम में हम आपको 5 उपन्यास पढ़ा रहे हैं और लगभग 14 कहानियाँ पढ़ा रहे हैं। ये 5 उपन्यास जो हैं वो अपने समय के, अपने युग के विशिष्ट उपन्यास हैं, जो विशिष्ट विषयों और विशिष्ट क्षेत्रों को लेकर लिखे गए हैं। इसमें आप प्रेमचंद का गोदान पढ़ेंगे, इसमें आप मंजूर एहतेशाम का सूखा बरगद पढ़ेंगे, इसमें आप जगदीश्वर का धरती धरना अपना पढ़ेंगे, इसमें जगदीश चंद्र का धरती धरना अपना पढ़ेंगे, इसमें आप फणीश्वर नाथ रेणु का उपन्यास मैला आंचल पढ़ेंगे और आंचलिकता की प्रवृत्ति से परिचित होंगे कि ये मैला आंचल उपन्यास किस तरह से आंचलिकता को आगे बढ़ाता है, आंचलिकता को लेकर चलता है। और इसी तरह से आप हजारी प्रसाद द्विवेदी का उपन्यास बाण भट्ट की आत्मकथा पढ़ेंगे। चूँकि ये उपन्यास आपको किसी भी पुस्तकालय या कहीं पर भी आपको आसानी से प्राप्त हो सकते हैं। अब तो अमेज़न भी, ऑनलाइन भी ये सब चीज़ें आपको उपलब्ध हैं, आप उसको पढ़ भी सकते हैं कंप्यूटर से। तो आप इनका अध्ययन किसी भी पुस्तकालय से लेकर करें या ऑनलाइन पढ़ें, और इन उपन्यासों में जो विशिष्ट विषय हैं, जिन पर लेखक जिन विषयों पर केंद्रित कर रहा है इन उपन्यासों को, उन विषयों की चर्चा हमने इन पाठ्यक्रमों में की है, इनकी इकाइयों में की है, ताकि आप पूरी तरह से इन उपन्यासों के विषयों से परिचित हो जाएं, क्यों इन उपन्यासों में उन चरित्रों को रखा गया है उनसे परिचित हो जाएं। जैसे प्रेमचंद के गोदान में हमें राष्ट्रीय आंदोलन भी दिखाई देता है, किसान जीवन से संबंधित समस्याएं भी दिखाई देती हैं। इन सब का हमने विस्तृत विवरण, विवेचन, विश्लेषण इन उपन्यासों से संबद्ध इकाइयों में किया है। इसी तरह से आगे चलकर आप मैला आंचल, सूखा बरगद, धरती धरना अपना और बाण भट्ट की आत्मकथा का अध्ययन करते हुए देखेंगे कि उसमें जो विशिष्ट विषय आए हैं उनका किस तरह से हमने इसमें विवेचन, विश्लेषण किया है, और ये आपके लिए बहुत लाभकारी होगा। आप अच्छे से इन उपन्यासों को समझ पाएंगे, उपन्यासों की मूल विषय वस्तु और उसकी दृष्टि को समझ पाएंगे कि लेखक क्या कहना चाह रहा है इनमें। इसी तरह से हमने इस पाठ्यक्रम में आपको 14 कहानियों का अध्ययन कराया है। ये 14 कहानियाँ भी विशिष्ट लेखकों से संबद्ध हैं, और उनकी वो विशिष्ट कहानियाँ हैं जिन्होंने अपने युग में, अपने समय में एक विशेष नाम भी बनाया था और विशिष्ट हुई थी। जैसे उदाहरण के लिए प्रेमचंद की कहानी ठाकुर का कुआं, जयशंकर प्रसाद की कहानी पुरस्कार, यशपाल की कहानी कुत्ते की पूंछ, जैनेंद्र कुमार की कहानी पाजेब। ये पाजेब आपने पहले भी पढ़ी होगी, और जब आप इसमें पढ़ेंगे तो आप देखेंगे कि MA में आकर जब हम स्नातकोत्तर उपाधि लेते हैं या इस स्तर पर आते हैं तो किस तरह से हमारी दृष्टि किसी कहानी के प्रति परिवर्तित होती है। तो ये पाजेब कहानी हमने 5वीं, 6ठी, 7वीं, 8वीं में भी पढ़ी होगी, और अब भी जब हम पढ़ेंगे तो उसकी दृष्टि परिवर्तित आपको दिखाई देगी। इसी तरह से आप अज्ञेय की कहानी रोज़ पढ़ेंगे, ज्ञान रंजन की कहानी पिता पढ़ेंगे, उदय प्रकाश की कहानी तिरिच पढ़ेंगे, मन्नू भंडारी की कहानी त्रिशंकु पढ़ेंगे, भीष्म साहनी की कहानी चीफ की दावत का अध्ययन आपको कराया जा रहा है, शिव प्रसाद सिंह जी की कहानी कर्मनाशा की हार का अध्ययन आप करेंगे, हरिशंकर परसाई की कहानी भोला राम का जीव आप पढ़ेंगे, उसमें व्यंग्य देखेंगे, एक विशिष्ट विधा का अध्ययन करेंगे। इसी तरह से निर्मल वर्मा का एक दिन का मेहमान कहानी आप पढ़ेंगे, कृष्णा सोबती का सिक्का बदल गया और ओम प्रकाश वाल्मीकि का यह अंत नई कहानियों का अध्ययन आपको इस पाठ्यक्रम में कराया जाएगा। इस पाठ्यक्रम को पढ़ने के बाद आप कहानी और उपन्यास के विशिष्ट लेखकों से भी परिचित होंगे और उनके विशिष्ट विषयों से भी परिचित होंगे, उस युगीन समस्या को भी जानेंगे, उन विचारधाराओं, उन दर्शनों को भी जानेंगे जिनका अध्ययन अध्यापन हमने इन कहानियों में कराया है।
जी, आपने बहुत महत्वपूर्ण जानकारी दी। अभी तक हमारे विद्यार्थियों को हिंदी काव्य, आदि काव्य, भक्ति काव्य, रीति काव्य, उपन्यास और कहानी, नाटक और अन्य गद्य विधाएँ, हिंदी भाषा और साहित्य का इतिहास के बारे में जानकारी दी गई। अब आधुनिक हिंदी काव्य के बारे में भी जानना बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है कि विद्यार्थी जाने कि आधुनिक हिंदी काव्य के अंतर्गत क्या क्या उनको पढ़ाया जाएगा, क्या क्या पाठ्यक्रम में रखा गया है। तो इसके अंतर्गत यह है 8 क्रेडिट का पाठ्यक्रम होगा और इसमें प्रथम खंड होगा नवजागरण काव्य, क्योंकि बगैर नवजागरण को समझे हुए जाने बगैर हम मैथिली शरण गुप्त और भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र के अवदान के बारे में, उनके योगदान के बारे में नहीं जान सकते। इसलिए इस नवजागरण काव्य के अंतर्गत भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र का काव्य, मैथिली शरण गुप्त का काव्य और दोनों की काव्य भाषा और शिल्प क्या है इसका अध्ययन कराया जाएगा। खंड 2 के अंतर्गत छायावादी काव्य, जिसमें जयशंकर प्रसाद और सूर्यकांत त्रिपाठी निराला के बारे में बताया जाएगा कि उनका वैचारिक आधार क्या, उनके काव्य का, और उनकी प्रयोगशीलता की दिशाएं क्या थी। खास तौर से राम की शक्ति पूजा बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कविता है निराला जी की, जो यूजीसी के उसमें नेट पाठ्यक्रम में भी है और महत्वपूर्ण जो पीएससी के पाठ्यक्रम उसमें भी है, उसको भी यहाँ शामिल किया गया है, उसके बारे में भी अध्ययन कराया जाएगा। खंड 3 छायावादी काव्य तथा छायावादोत्तर काव्य पर केंद्रित होगा। इसके अंतर्गत महादेवी की काव्य संवेदना, उनकी प्रतीक योजना, सुमित्रानंदन पंत की काव्य यात्रा के विविध चरण और उनकी काव्य भाषा और शैली क्या है और दिनकर के काव्य की अंतर्धाराएं क्या है, इसके बारे में यहाँ अध्ययन कराया जाएगा। खंड 4 प्रगतिशील काव्य पर केंद्रित होगा। इसमें नागार्जुन के काव्य की संवेदना, उनकी काव्य की रचना विधान, मुक्तिबोध का जीवन दर्शन और अंधेरे में कविता का विश्लेषण विशेष तौर से कराया जाएगा। और इसी खंड में धूमिल को भी शामिल किया गया है, यानी महत्वपूर्ण जो प्रगतिशील काव्य है इस खंड में सभी के सभी आ जाएंगे। खंड 5 नई कविता पर आधारित है और इसमें अज्ञेय और शमशेर को शामिल किया गया है। और नई कविता के और जो 2 महत्वपूर्ण कवि हैं वो खंड 6 के अंतर्गत आएंगे, जिसमें रघुवीर सहाय अपने समय के आर पार देखता कवि इसमें आप पढ़ेंगे और उनका काव्य शिल्प तथा श्रीकांत वर्मा और उनकी कविता के बारे में भी आपको अध्ययन कराया जाएगा। इस तरह से आपने देखा होगा कि प्रथम वर्ष के उसमें 5 प्रश्न पत्र हैं और MSD 1 4 क्रेडिट का है, बाकी सारे प्रश्न पत्र 8-8 क्रेडिट के हैं। अब हम द्वितीय वर्ष की चर्चा करेंगे। तो द्वितीय वर्ष में जो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है व्यावसायिक हिंदी काव्य के लिए, लेखन के लिए, क्योंकि इसमें जनसंचार भी है, रेडियो भी है, टेलीविज़न भी है, सिनेमा भी है और अनुवाद भी है। तो मैं रीता जी से आग्रह करूंगा कि रेडियो और टेलीविज़न लेखन के बारे में कुछ हमारे विद्यार्थियों को बताएं। रीता जी।
जी, धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर नरेंद्र मिश्र जी। दरअसल आज जो हम सभी जानते हैं कि आज हम जिस युग में हैं वह सूचना क्रांति का युग है, भूमंडलीकरण का युग है और बिना सूचना के तो हम एक दिन भी, एक पल भी रह नहीं सकते। इसमें रेडियो का भी बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका है और टेलीविज़न की भी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका है। और आज तो आप देखते हैं कि आप टैक्सी में जाइए या फिर ऑटो में जाइए तो FM रेडियो हमेशा आपके मनोरंजन के लिए तत्पर और तैयार मिलता है। उससे न केवल आपका मनोरंजन होता है बल्कि आपको बहुत सारी जानकारियाँ भी मिलती हैं जो आपके लिए काफ़ी उपयोगी सिद्ध होती हैं। तो हम लोगों ने जो पाठ्यक्रम निश्चित और निर्धारित किया है वह न केवल राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति 2020 के अनुरूप है, यानी जिस कौशल विकास के लिए सभी लोग प्रतिबद्ध हैं स्कूली शिक्षा से ही, उसका उच्च स्तर पर हम किस तरह से क्रियान्वयन करते हैं या हम लोग देखते हैं कि हम लोगों ने जिस पाठ्यक्रम को रखा है उसमें किस तरह सैद्धांतिकी को व्यवहारिकी में ढाला जाता है। तो रेडियो लेखन में बहुत सारे पक्ष ऐसे हैं जो कि पूरी तरह से रोज़गार से भी संबंधित हैं। आप देखेंगे जैसे कि रेडियो माध्यम क्या है उसका परिचय दिया जाएगा, रेडियो माध्यम की क्या विशेषताएं हैं उसके बारे में भी जानकारी दी जाएगी, रेडियो का तकनीकी पक्ष क्या है, प्रसारण किस तरह किया जाता है, रेडियो लेखन किस तरह होता है, संपादन किस तरह किया जाता है, रेडियो के कौन कौन से कार्यक्रम हैं, इन सारी चीज़ों की आपको जानकारी दी जाएगी। रेडियो लेखन के कौन कौन से क्षेत्र हैं उनकी भी चर्चा की जाएगी, आलेख किस तरह लिखा जाता है यह भी बताया जाएगा, और रेडियो कार्यक्रम के जो विविध चरण हैं उसकी भी चर्चा होगी। अब रेडियो समाचार का भी बहुत महत्व है। आप सभी जानते हैं रेडियो समाचार किस तरह लिखा जाता है, किस तरह संपादित किया जाता है, ये सारी जानकारी इस पाठ्यक्रम के अंतर्गत आपको दी जाएगी। इसके अतिरिक्त रेडियो से जो प्रसारित होने वाले कार्यक्रम हैं उसका भी इसमें ध्यान रखा गया है, जैसे वार्ता है और रेडियो नाटक है।
थोड़ी संक्षिप्त जानकारी दे दें क्योंकि समय को देखते हुए विद्यार्थियों को सारे पाठ्यक्रम के बारे में जानकारी हो। तो संक्षिप्त में टेलीविज़न का, फिर सिनेमा और अनुवाद की चर्चा करेंगे।
जी, तो रेडियो के सभी पक्षों का, जैसे इसमें नाटक का भी दिखाया जाता है जो, और इसके साथ वार्ता का भी प्रसारण होता है, कहानी का भी प्रसारण होता है, इस तरह सारे पक्षों का इसमें ध्यान रखा गया है। और टेलीविज़न का तो कोई भी पक्ष अछूता है ही नहीं इस पाठ्यक्रम में। आप देखिए कि जैसे दृश्य माध्यम की क्या क्या विशेषताएँ होती हैं।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद रीता जी। अब स्मिता जी से आग्रह है कि सिनेमा लेखन और अनुवाद एवं जनसंचार के बारे में थोड़ा संक्षिप्त जानकारी दें क्योंकि समय तेज़ी से बढ़ रहा है, तो संक्षेप में दोनों के बारे में बताएं स्मिता जी।
जी, धन्यवाद मिश्र जी। असल में क्या है कि आप देखेंगे कि हमारा सिनेमा लेखन और अनुवाद 2 पाठ्यक्रम हमने इसमें रखे हैं और हमारा इस द्वितीय वर्ष में जो पहला पाठ्यक्रम है वो जनसंचार पर आधारित है, जिसमें हमने सामान्य सूचनाएं और जानकारियां आपको दी हैं, साथ ही उन नीतियों की भी चर्चा की है जो इससे संबद्ध हैं। इसी तरह से आप देखेंगे कि जो सिनेमा लेखन का पाठ्यक्रम है उसमें हमने विश्व में सिनेमा, भारत में सिनेमा और सिनेमा के क्या क्या पक्ष हैं जो महत्वपूर्ण होते हैं, ताकि आप सब में से कोई कभी सिनेमा के लिए लेखन करना चाहें तो आपके लिए वो जानकारियाँ उपयोगी सिद्ध हों, इन सब के बारे में हमने विस्तार से चर्चा की है। जैसे आप जानते हैं कि पहले ब्लैक एंड वाइट सिनेमा था, बाद में रंगीन सिनेमा आया जो भारतीय सिनेमा का अंग था, उसी तरह से विश्व में सिनेमा उससे पहले चला। तो किस तरह से सिनेमा का विकास हुआ विश्व में और भारत में, इसकी जानकारी हम पहले ही खंड में आपको देना चाहते हैं। इसके बाद हम उसके तकनीकी पक्षों की और उसके अन्य पक्षों की जानकारी आपको देंगे। इसी तरह से जो अनुवाद का हमारा पाठ्यक्रम है उसमें भी जनसंचार के विविध क्षेत्रों में किस तरह से अनुवाद किया जाता है, अनुवाद के कौन कौन से पक्ष हैं जिनको ध्यान में रखना आवश्यक है, क्योंकि अब आप देखेंगे जैसे रीता जी ने भी बताया और मिश्र जी भी बता रहे थे कि अब लगभग रेडियो, टेलीविज़न, हर जगह अनुवाद बहुत अधिक मात्रा में बढ़ भी गया है। जनसंचार में भी अगर समाचार पत्र आप देखें, अगर आप अन्य माध्यमों को देखें तो उसमें अनुवाद की बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका है। तो अनुवाद किस तरह से किया जाए, किस तरह से हो, उसके कौन कौन से तकनीकी पक्ष हैं, उन सब की जानकारी हमने आपको अनुवाद के पाठ्यक्रम में देने का प्रयत्न किया है। तो ये पाठ्यक्रम मुझे आशा है कि आप लोगों के लिए बहुत उपयोगी होगा। हमारे एमए के छात्र जब इसको करेंगे तो इसके बाद वो अपने लिए एक अलग रोज़गार बना सकते हैं, एक अलग जगह बना सकते हैं, स्थान बना सकते हैं और विशिष्ट महत्व का स्थान भी अपने लिए बना सकते हैं।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद स्मिता जी। रीता जी, आपने बहुत अच्छी जानकारी दी कि विद्यार्थियों को पता चल गया होगा कि हमारा एमए हिंदी व्यावसायिक लेखन का पाठ्यक्रम अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण पाठ्यक्रम है। यह 72 क्रेडिट का पाठ्यक्रम है और यूजीसी के नेट जेआरएफ पर केंद्रित है। इसको मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी बनाया गया है ताकि विद्यार्थी परंपरागत हिंदी साहित्य का अध्ययन करें और उसके साथ ही समाचार पत्र, जनसंचार माध्यम, रेडियो, टेलीविज़न, सिनेमा, अनुवाद, तमाम तरह के व्यावसायिक पाठ्यक्रम इसमें लाए गए हैं ताकि हमारे विद्यार्थियों को असीम रोजगार प्राप्त हो। इसमें रोजगार की असीम संभावनाएं हैं। इसके माध्यम से विद्यार्थी टीवी में एंकरिंग कर सकते हैं, अखबारों में संपादन का काम कर सकते हैं, रिपोर्टर का काम कर सकते हैं, फीचर लेखक का काम कर सकते हैं, प्रोग्रामिंग, समाचार संपादक, काउंसलर, अनाउंसर, इंटरेक्टिव रेडियो काउंसलिंग, सिनेमा में स्क्रिप्ट राइटर, स्टोरी टेलिंग, अनुवाद, दुभाषिया, यूट्यूब चैनल, तमाम तरह के नौ मीडिया के जो तमाम तरह के आयाम हैं, उन आयामों से परिचित हो सकते हैं, उनसे उनका अध्ययन कर सकते हैं। और यह पूरे भारतवर्ष में एक अनूठा पाठ्यक्रम है जो दूसरे विश्वविद्यालयों में नहीं पढ़ाया जाता।
हाँ, और मिश्र जी मुझे लगता है कि हमने राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के तहत इसमें कुछ एग्जिट का भी ऑप्शन रखा
बिल्कुल
है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, आपने बहुत अच्छी बात बताई कि इसमें एग्जिट पॉलिसी का भी प्रावधान है। सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स और डिप्लोमा कोर्स भी इसमें प्रदान किया जाएगा जो हमारी राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के अनुरूप है। आप लोग यहाँ पर आए और हमारे विद्यार्थियों को इस नए एमए के पाठ्यक्रम को जो इग्नू द्वारा प्रारंभ किया गया है बताया, इसके लिए स्मिता जी आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। रीता जी का भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आपने महत्वपूर्ण जानकारी दी। आप विद्यार्थियों को भी आगे हम इसके बारे में निरंतर जानकारी देते रहेंगे, बताते रहेंगे। धन्यवाद।
नमस्कार।
Are you a fresh graduate? Do you want to fulfill your educational aspiration by pursuing higher education in various interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary areas like environmental science, environment and occupational health, philosophy, sustainability science, folklore and culture studies? If yes, the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies offers various programs like Master's Program, Graduate Program, Postgraduate Diploma, Certificate and Appreciation Program. The school offers 5 Master's Program. Master of Science, Environmental Science. The eligibility criteria for MSc Environmental Science is Graduate in Science, BTech, BE, Agriculture Graduate, Forestry Graduate and Veterinary Graduate. School also offers Masters in Environment and Occupational Health, Masters in Sustainability Science, Masters in Philosophy and Masters in Folklore and Culture Studies. The eligibility criteria for these 4 Masters program is graduate in any discipline. The school also offers various socially relevant and need-based PG Diploma program like PG Diploma in Sustainability Science, PG Diploma in Environment and Occupational Health, PG Diploma in Folklore and Culture Studies and PG Diploma in Migration and Diaspora Studies. The school also offers PG Certificate in Climate Change and Avshist Prabandhan mein Praman Patra. The school also offers 2 doctoral programs, PhD in Environmental Science and PhD in Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies. The school offers various innovative technologies and multimedia for providing a very excellent student support system. The study material is of high quality. The learner support is provided through Gyan Darshan, Gyan Vani, IRC, Swayam Prabha and Swayam channel of IGNOU. For more detail, please log in to IGNOU website. For online admission in these programs, visit school site and also the Samarth online education portal of IGNOU. So please join these programs and fulfill your educational aspiration.
We wear clothes on a daily basis. But have we ever wondered, where do our clothes come from? Who makes our clothing? And who are the people and the process responsible for the whole manufacturing of our clothing? If you want to know more about this, Indira Gandhi National Open University from the School of Continuing Education has launched a program which is Certificate in Apparel Merchandising. There are many benefits after doing this program. You can become a designer in various fields. It can be fashion designer, apparel designer, costume designer, or even a textile designer. One can also work as a fashion consultant. Research and development is another field which one can take up after doing this certificate course. Going into academics is another perk after doing this program. Getting into fashion houses or fashion studios as an intern is also a very good option post doing the certificate in apparel merchandising. The basic eligibility of the program is 10+2. The duration of the program is 6 months to 2 years. The program is also available for both the admission cycles, which is July and January. The exams are conducted twice a year, in June and December. So what are you waiting for? Join this program.
Hello learners, welcome to this session on right to food and role of state in the Constitution of India. After listening to this session, you will be able to understand the right to food in the Indian Constitution and what is the role envisaged by the Indian Constitution regarding the right to food. And at the same time, you will be able to also understand the various debates and discussions on this issue of the right to food and various perspectives on the right to food debate. So, let us discuss. This right to food is very, very essential and element in everybody's life because world has enough food and ample food, but at the same time, every day there will be several thousands and lakhs of people are going hunger or off starving actually every day. So, in these circumstances, actually, we have to understand what is the necessity of right to food and what is the role of the state, what are the laws and what are the conditions for it need to be understood by the students of political science. So this debate actually, when we look at the debates on this food security, it is a very long debate. It's not a today's debate. It is a very, very long debate. This debate was started very long back in the year 1798 itself, when Malthus has written the Essay on Principles of Population. In his essay on principles of population, Malthus has actually discussed about this food security and the debate, food production issues and many other issues surrounding the food security. So in 1798 onwards, these debates are very much. But one of the important argument by the Malthus is that Malthus understood this food problem or the food insecurity issue in the lines of food production. So Malthus argues that food production is going on arithmetic progression, at the same time population is growing geometric progression. If I put it in simple terms, this population is growing faster than the food production. In the other sense, it is nothing but the food production is very lagging much behind the according to the needs and necessities of the growing the population growth actually. So in these circumstances, actually people started understanding the food security in the sense that there is no enough food to this population to eat actually. So because of there is no enough food to eat, there is a starvation and hunger is going on. So this issue is entirely it is understanding the food security, that as a scarcity, food scarcity is leading to the food insecurity in the world. That is the major argument put forward by the Malthus in his essay on principles of population. So many people actually understood this as a very, very regressive manner, and most of this debate actually led to the food availability decline argument. So this food availability decline argument is nothing but that there is a lack of food grains to the population of the world. Because of that, people are going hungry. So if you want to eradicate, if you want to achieve the food security in a proper manner, so we have to produce more and more food grains. That was the argument. So the food availability decline argument actually is nothing but there is no proper food grains, sufficient food grains in the world to feed the entire world. That was the argument. So in that circumstances, actually, to tackle this food insecurity problem, actually, the Green Revolution protagonists has approached in this problem in a this manner actually. So the Green Revolution is approach actually it is nothing but to tackle this food insecurity. That if we can able to produce more and more food in the food, then there will not be any kind of insecurity, food insecurity, and people will not be going any more hunger. So this actually led to the Green Revolution approach. So the Green Revolution approach is nothing but basically they will be looking at the food production issue. It is a production issue, and based on the developments of the biotechnology, at the same time genome high yielding varieties has to be used, and double cropping and fertilizers has to be used, and we have to produce more and more food so that there will not be any kind of food insecurity in the world. So that was the major argument put forwarded by this Malthusian understanding, at the same time food availability decline argument. So to tackle this, actually the Green Revolution approach came into the existence. So through this Green Revolution approach, actually it is nothing but they wanted to produce more and more. They wanted to transform this agriculture as a massive productive tool so that there will not be any kind of food insecurity in the world. However, actually, by using these scientific advancements, by transforming this agriculture as a massive productive tool, could not able to solve this food problem actually. Food insecurity is, despite of the growth of food production, despite of the growth of surplus food in the production, actually, there are still there are so many people actually going hunger every day in the entire world, in different parts of the world, or off starving in the different parts of the world. So this Green Revolution approach could not able to solve this problem of the food insecurity. At the same time, it could not able to eradicate this food insecurity despite of surplus food production. In the high time of the Green Revolution, actually, the Amartya Sen came out with essay on entitlement and deprivation in the year 1981. So this essay on entitlement and deprivation has actually completely turned the entire debate, the food security debate, into a different stage actually. So he approaches this problem in a wonderful manner, in a very simple manner, that food production is very much necessary for the eradication of the hunger and starvation, but it is not the sufficient condition. As for the Amartya Sen, food production, growing the food, more and more food grains production is the very, very essential. Sufficient food grains are very, very essential, but at the same time it is not the sufficient condition to eradicate the problem. He explains in a very, very similar and very, very simple manner that, so despite there is a lot of food, people may be going hungry because of lack of purchasing power, because of lack of, if I put it in a simple terms, actually this can be applied, and this can be Amartya Sen's the essay on entitlement and deprivation can be very well explained during the pandemic times. During the experiences of the pandemic time, we can very well explain that he approaches the problem in a very simple manner. He says that he takes the example of a barber who will be shaving and doing the hairdressing. He will be having only that skill, And if he doesn't have, if he any other kind of means of livelihood, or the home, or any land, or any other means of livelihood, then if because of some reasons, if he is losing the demand for the hairdressing skill, he will be going hunger despite of lot of food grains in the market. There may be lot of food grains because he has only a skill of the shaving and hairdressing. Either of this skill he cannot eat, so he has to sell out his hairdressing skill and shaving and hairdressing skill. Then he has to exchange this his skill with the money, and then he has to purchase the food from the availability of the food in the market. So because of some reasons, if he is losing the job, actually, this can be very much explained in the pandemic sense. Many of the private school teachers, many of the drivers and auto drivers, or the small people, those who are earning their livelihood with doing the small thing, all of a sudden they have lost their livelihood because of the lockdowns and pandemic. Then they were all growing hungry at the same time. There is no dearth of the food in the market. There is no dearth of the food. There is a surplus of food in everywhere available. Even Amartya Sen explains this in the during the Bengal famine itself by studying that there is a per capita availability during the Bengal famine is lot of food grains are available, but at the same time, people are the previous years the per capita availability was less, but in the during the Bengal per capita availability more. So it does nothing to do with the just availability of the food grains. At the same time, there is a greater things like if the person has, if he doesn't have any other kind of livelihood, he will be going hunger despite of availability of the food grains in the market or the godowns. So in these circumstances, we have to understand this food security and what is the role of the state in the Indian Constitution. So when we are making the Constitution of India, actually there was a lot of debates on this food insecurity and the starvation and all. So the Indian Constitution is not merely a mechanical arrangement of the laws and institutions for its governance. So this Constitution actually the most egalitarian document and the foremost social and egalitarian document. It various clauses of this Indian Constitution tries to attempt to set a goal and provide a vision and direction to the state. So under these circumstances, actually, when they were making the Constitution, actually, they wanted to restructure, rebuild the society into a most egalitarian and most democratic manner. So for that purpose, actually, they were looking at the state. They are building a very active, dynamic state, and they envisaged a very active, dynamic role to the state to perform in the future years after the independence, actually. So in these circumstances, the Constituent Assembly, when they were debating lot of the things, under one of this here we have to understand that very important quote from the Jawaharlal Nehru. He says that he in the Constituent Assembly, at present greatest and most important question in the India is how to solve the problem of poor and starvation. Wherever we turn, we are confronted with this problem of problems. If we cannot solve this problem soon, all our paper constitutions will become useless and purposeless. See how beautifully Jawaharlal Nehru explaining in the Constituent Assembly. So for this constitution, if we cannot solve this problem of poor and starving, whatever the constitution we are writing, whatever the constitution and institutions we are building will become useless and purposeless if we cannot able to solve these basic needs of the people, that food, shelter and clothing and all these kind of things. Further, he says that this freedom actually it will be leaving to the further opportunities and progress. This constitution will be giving to the further opportunities and progress, and the poor and starving, if the persistence of starvation is not at all a good for the Indian society, at the same time Indian constitution and Indian government in the independent India. That was the ideas and ideals actually discussed in the Constituent Assembly. Even the Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan also says that if the poor people are starving here and there and wondering for the food, their lives are actually, when if there are their lives or with the sore affliction of the pinching poverty, it will not be a proud to this Indian constitution and law. These are the words actually. With these words we can understand that what is the importance given by the framers of the Indian constitution to this right to food, at the same time securing the wonderful livelihood to the each and every Indian in the pre and independent India. So under these circumstances, we have to understand food as a human rights. At the same time, Indian government has accepted the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights by the United Nations. So Article 25 of the Indian Universal Declaration of the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights very much emphasizes the everybody's right to food and adequate means of livelihood. At the same time, International Covenant on Economic and Social Cultural Rights, Article 11 of this actually also emphasizes the everybody's right to food, actually food and adequate means of livelihood. This is very, very essential. So India is the signatory, at the same time accepting all these international covenants and the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. So Indian state is obliged under that way also under the international conventions also. So apart from that, actually the right to food in the Indian constitution is also we have to understand in a very proper manner. So in the Indian constitution, we don't have a explicit right to food in the Indian constitution. However, there are various clauses of the Indian constitution, various rights in the Part 3 of the Indian Constitution under the fundamental rights, at the same time Part 4 of the Indian Constitution under directive principles of state policy. We have to read along with these two parts to understand the right to food in the Indian Constitution. As there is no explicit provision in the fundamental rights under under the Part 3 of the Indian Constitution. However, Article 21 of the Indian Constitution talks about the right to life. So right to life means here we have to understand that term life itself actually includes the right to food. There is no life without right to food. So we have to understand that this Article 21 of the Indian Constitution under fundamental rights, which are enforceable by any court of law by virtue of Article 32 of the Indian Constitution. So this right to life, the right to life is also includes the right to food, at the same time right to health, at the same time proper other things also. So life here means not mere survival of like a animal existence. So right to life means here is that we have to understand that it is a dignity with integrity actually. So we have the human beings can able to be live with a dignity of life with adequate means of livelihood and adequate means of access to the food and everything includes in Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Further, to understand this Article 21 of the Indian Constitution in a proper manner, we have to read this Article 21 of the Indian Constitution and under Article 39A of Indian Constitution under directive principles of state policy. So Article 39A of the Indian Constitution, it is the duty of the state to secure the adequate means of livelihood to each and every citizen of everybody in India. It is these directive principles are not enforceable by any court of law, but Article 36 of the Indian Constitution categorically mentions that though these directive principles are not enforceable by any court of law, nevertheless fundamental in the governance of the country. It means that the future policy makers, the future institutions actually, they have to direct the policies actually towards the directive principles given by the constitutional framers to the future policy makers. So under these circumstances, so under Article 39A of the Indian Constitution, it is the duty of the state to ensure that adequate means of livelihood to the each and every person in the society. So apart from that, Article 41 of the Indian Constitution also gives the right to work, because right to work, when somebody is working, when somebody is earning his livelihood, that is very, very essential. At the same time, there is this right to public assistance in case of unemployment, at the same time old age, sickness or undeserved want. Sometimes there will be some undeserved things will be there. In that circumstances, right to public assistance is very much there under Article 41 of the Indian Constitution. So this under Article 41 of the Indian Constitution, also it is the duty of the state to ensure that there is wherever the requirement is there, to provide some kind of assistance when there is unemployment or the old age or sickness or any other case of undeserved want. So this is also a duty of the state. So apart from that, we have one more article in the Indian Constitution directly dealing with the uh, right to food, at the same time the other means of nutrition and everything. So the state shall endeavor to secure under Article 47 of the Indian Constitution that state shall endeavor to raise the level of nutrition and standard of living and to improve the public health. This is the one of the mandate of the Article 47 of the Indian Constitution. So to understand this right to food in the Indian Constitution and the role of state in the Indian Constitution, we have to read along with all these articles. Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, 39A of the Indian Constitution, 41 and 47 of the Indian Constitution. So that we can able to understand the proper perspective actually. You can understand in a right perspective of this right to food, at the same time role of state. So this is the very, very important things which we have to understand in this under right to food in the Indian Constitution. At the same time, it is the state's role actually, because of this mandate. This is the constitutional mandate actually. State actually response was there to this tackle this food insecurity problem, and we have so many series of social legislations like food security to tackle this food insecurity problem. Like public distribution system, we have Antyodaya Anna Yojana, at the same time food for work. So many schemes has been actually launched by the central and state legislatures to eradicate the hunger and starvation in the society. So despite of that, actually there are so many problems in the society. In the year 2001 actually there is a landmark judgment, even the Supreme Court judicial intervention also, we can see that in 2001 People's Union for Civil Liberties actually filed a writ petition stating that there are full of food grains in the FCI godowns actually. There are so much of food grains rotting in the FCI godowns and rats are eating in the FCI godowns. At the same time, there are starvation deaths in many parts of the country, like in Rajasthan and Orissa, like Kilhandi or the Bolangir and Koraput districts, such kind of remote and very underdeveloped areas. So the PUCL argument is that it is the criminal negligence of the state that because this right to food and ensuring the livelihood for each and everybody, at the same time raising the nutritional standards is the mandate of the Indian Constitution. Despite of that, despite lot of food production, we have lot of surplus production in the country, and lot of food grains are rotting in the in the FCI godowns. Despite of this, that the starvation deaths is a criminal negligence under the Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. So then the Supreme Court of India actually intervened and said that it is not at all acceptable. At the same time, it has given the interim order stating that so many food security schemes, already 8 fully sponsored by the central government food security schemes, should be implemented in a proper manner. At the same time, each and every school which is running with the assistance of the government, central or state governments, must be provide this midday meal scheme to the cooked midday meal scheme to the children, so that there will be some kind of relief to the food security concerns. So under these circumstances, actually we have to understand that it is the role of the state to ensure that nobody is going hunger, nobody is going to off starving, because the repercussions of this hunger and starvation is very high, and it will be leading to the unacceptable things actually, unacceptable things in the society. It will be leading to the disruption, at the same time a kind of a disruption, at the same time it will be leading to the revolutionary tendencies, and it is not good for the institutions. So because of all these things, actually it is the role of the state that to take care of this nutritional needs, at the same time food insecurity. So for that purpose, actually they have to implement the food security schemes in a proper manner, like public distribution and other things. So with these words, I will conclude here. Thank you.
Are you interested in television journalism or radio journalism or online journalism? Or do you want to learn with the flexibility of open learning? Or if you are a working professional, wants to enhance your knowledge and skill with certification in the field of electronic media, then School of Journalism and New Media Study IGNOU offers PG Diploma in Electronic Media for you. This program includes audio and audio-visual program production for radio, television and online platforms. Here are some important details about the program. We have total 8 courses of 32 credits, 6 theory courses, 1 practical and 1 project. Eligibility: bachelor's degree in any subject. Minimum duration 1 year, maximum 3 years. Medium is English, but students can write their examinations, assignments, practical and project in Hindi also. So if you are interested in television, radio or online media, please come and join IGNOU's PG Diploma in Electronic Media.
Hello, welcome learners in the series of sessions of the course MST 001 of the program PGDST. We have in the previous session we have discussed about the functions, types of functions. In this session we will discuss the concept of limit It is based on the unit number 5 of the course MST01 of the program PGDST. This session is prepared by me and Dr. Prabhat Kumar Sangal jointly, and today I am presenting this session. Outline of the session. Actually, first of all, we will discuss in this session what we mean by X approaches to A, and this is denoted by this symbol arrow. After this, we will discuss what we mean by the left hand limit and right hand limit. What is the concept of left hand limit and right hand limit? Next, we will discuss about direct substitution method. What is direct substitution method? We will see through a lot of examples. And we will also see when this direct substitution method fails, what we do. And finally, we will discuss the concept of the infinite limit. And at last, we will summarize what we have covered in this session. If we see that x approaches to 2, x approaches to 2 never means x equal to 2. X approaches to 2 means x is not equal to 2. Now, what are the possibilities if x is not equal to 2? One possibility is x may be less than 2, and one possibility is x may be greater than 2. So, when x is less than 2, then suppose you are approaching to 2 from left side. Left side means values of x are less than 2, but you are going closer and closer to 2. And another possibility is if x is not equal to 2, x approaches to 2 means x is not equal to 2. Another possibility is x is greater than 2. But x is greater than 2, but x is coming close and close to 2. See in this figure, here we are these arrows symbol shows that we are coming close and close to 2, but values of x will remain greater than 2. This is the meaning of the symbol of the concept x approaches to 2, means either we can approach to 2 either from left sides, or we can approach to 2 from right side. Now let us explain this concept with the help of this example. Let us consider simple example y is equal to tan x plus 3. This is a function. Concept of function we have already discussed in the previous session. You know, you are familiar with the concept of the function. So this is a function. Now let us first consider what we mean by x approaches to 2 from left sides. X approaches to 2 from left side means suppose x takes value 1.9. If you put this value of x in this function, tan into 1.9, 19 plus 3, 22. So value of the function is 22. After that, because we are going close and close to 2, let us take 1.98. This value is more close to 2 compared to this value 1.9. If you substitute this value of x in this function, you will get 1.98 into 10, 19.8 plus 3, 22.8. And let us go further close to 2. Let us take one more 9, 1.998. This value is more close to 2 compared to this previous value 1.98. And if you put this value of x in this function, you will get value of the function 22.98. And so on. If you go on increasing the string of these 9s, you are actually going close and close to 2, but still your value is less than 2. In this case, you see that value of y function here 22, then 22.8, then 22.98, then 22.998, and here you see 22.6 times 9, then 8. So you observe that if x is coming closer and closer to 2, value of this function coming closer and closer to 23. Let us take another situation. Let us approach to this 2 from right sides. Means value of x is greater than 2, but it is coming closer and closer to 2. Let us take evaluate the value of this function at 2.1. If you see that at 2.1, if we put x is equal to 2.1 in this function, tan into 2.1, 10 into 2.1 is 21 plus 3, 24. So value of this function is 24. Let us go more close to 2. Now 2.01. This value is more close to 2 compared to this value 2.1. Let us substitute this value of x in this function, and you see that in this function value of x 10 into 2.01, this is 20.1 plus 3, so this is 23.1. And let us go more close to 2. Now this 2.001, this value is more close to 2 compared to this value, and here if you put this value of x in this function, you will get 10 into 2.001, you will get 20.01 plus 3, 23.01, and so on. You see that as x goes closer and closer to 2, value of this function goes closer and closer to 23. Let us visualize this previous slides with the help of this diagram. This is the graph of this function y is equal to 10x plus 3. This black line is the graph of this function y is equal to 10x plus 3. Now this is the value of the x at 1.9. You see that value of this function at 1.9 is 22. So this height. Then we could go to 1.98, and you see that at x equal to 1.98, value of this function is this height. This height is 22.8. So compared to this value, this is the value 23. This line is the value of 20. This is the value of x. You are seeing that function is approaching to this value. So here this height. Now let us come to more close to 2. Let us take 1.998. Here you see that this red line, this height is 22.98. This is more close to 23 compared to this height. So you see that as x approaches to 2, initially x was here, then we take 1.98, it comes here, then we have taken 1.998, it comes here, and here is the value of 2. Means we are coming close and close to 2, and this is the value of the function value 23, where function is approaching. At this value of was here, and at here this is 23, this is coming close to 23, and here this is very close to 23. So you see that as x approaches to 2, value of the function approaches to 23. Now let us take value of x greater than 2, 2.1. If you substitute this value 2.1 in that function, you take you see that you have already seen in previous slide, the value was 24. So this is the 24. Now we let us come more close to 2.1. Let us take value of x 2.01. This value is more close to 2 compared to this value. So here values of this function is 23.1. And let us come more close to 2. This value is, we have taken 2.001, and here you see that value of this function is 23.01. So you see that when x is coming close and close to 2 from right side, means x is still remains greater than 2, but coming close and close to 2, the value of this function, here it was 24, it was more than 23. Here you see that 23.1 means it comes close to 23, and here in third case you see that value is 23.01, means function value of the function is coming close and close to 23. In this situation, when x is coming close and close to 2 from left sides, mathematically this situation is denoted by putting this negative sign in the exponent of 2. So we read that x approaches to 2 from left, and this value we have already seen is 23. And when x is coming close and close to 2 from right side, means x is greater than 2 but coming close and close to 2, this situation is noted by putting plus sign in the exponent of 2, and we read as x approaches to 2 from right. Then we have already seen this in this case also, value of the function approaches to 23. This is known as left hand limit, this is known as right hand limit. If both exist and same, in this case both exist, this left hand limit is 23, right hand limit is 23, both exist and both are equal. if this is the case, both exist and both are equal, then we say that this limit of this function fx as x approaches to 2 exists and is equal to 23. Here we have just simply written 2, neither negative sign neither positive sign. It means x is approaching to 2. If approaching to 2 means x may be slightly less than 2, means is x approaches to 2 from left side, or x may be slightly greater than 2, means x is approaching to 2 from right sides. And but if you specify plus sign, it means x is approaching to 2 but it is slightly greater than 2. And if you put negative sign, it means x is approaching to 2 but x is slightly less than 2. In general, if a function fx approaches to L is some real number, denotes any arbitrary real number, and x approaches to small a, we generally denote by arbitrary constant by a, b, c, l, m, n. So if x approaches to some real number a and this function approaches to some real number L, then we write this as x approaches to a, value of this function approaches to L. The one thing that we have noted here is that this x approaches to a means two things: either x approaches to a from left side and or x approaches to 2 from right sides, but x is not equal to a. This x approaches to a means x is not equal to a. Now the first method that is used to solve the problems on the limits is direct substitution method. In direct substitution method, what we do, we directly substitute the value of x in the function. If after substituting this value of x in the function, we don't get any of these 7 indeterminate form. What are these 7 indeterminate form? Say 0 by 0, infinity by infinity. See, you know that 7 by 7 is 1. Minus 3 by minus 3 is 1. Means if you divide a number with the same number, you get 1. Minus 3 by minus 3, 7 by 7, 8 by 8, 9 by 9. If you divide a number with the same number, you get the 1. But the problem is, if you divide 0 by 0 and infinity by infinity, in this mathematics, these two are not defined. Another problem is, you know that if we multiply a number with 0, for example, some negative 6 into 0, you know that it is 0. If you multiply 0 with a positive number, again you get 0. So if you multiply a positive number, you get 0. If you multiply a negative number with 0, you get 0. But if you multiply 0 with infinity, in mathematics this is also not defined, and it is known as indeterminate form. This is the third indeterminate form. You also know that if you subtract a finite number from another finite number, so for example 9 minus 9 0, or 7 minus 7 0, 15 minus 15 0, 20 minus 20 0, if you subtract a finite number from the same number from the itself, then your result is 0. But in case of infinity, if you subtract infinity from infinity, again this is not defined in mathematics. This is the fourth indeterminate form. You also know that if you raise 0 power of a finite number other than 0, 5 is to power 0 1, minus 4 is to power 0 1, but if you raise 0 power to 0, 0 is to power 0, or infinity is to power 0, in these cases again these are not defined in mathematics. And last indeterminate form, you know that 1 is to power 1 means 1, 1 is to power 2 means 2 time multiply 2 1 time, 2 time, 1 into 1, 2. Similarly 1 cube means multiply 3 times, means 1 into 1 into 1, again it is 3. So if you take the raise finite power of the 1, you get 1. But problem is, if you raise infinity power of 1, again it is not defined. So these are the 7 indeterminate form. If after substituting directly value of x in the given function, you don't get any of these form, then you can use direct substitution method. But if any of these form comes out after directly substituting the value of x in the function, then you cannot use direct substitution method. We will see what we do in those situations. Now let us explain this this method, direct substitution method, with the help of examples. This is the first example. Limit x approaches to 3, x square minus 2x plus 3. This is our function. We want to know what is the value on which this function approaches as the x approaches to 3. First of all, we try direct substitution method. Let us apply direct put 3, replacing x by 3, 3 square, and 2 into 3 plus 4, and you say 3 square 9, 3 to the 6 plus 4, and 9 plus 4 13 positive, and minus 6, so plus 7. So you don't get any of those 7 forms, so you can you get the answer. Now the one question that may arise in your mind at this point of time is, we have already explained in the first 2 slides that x approaches to 3, as x approaches to 3 means x is either slightly less than 3, means 2.99 and so on, or x is slightly greater than 3, means 3.01, 3.001 and so on. But x is not equal to 3, but we are substituting here x equal to 3. X is not equal to 3, but we are substituting x equal to 3. Now the reason of this is because if you substitute, suppose x is less than 2, because x approaches to 3 means x is either slightly less than 3 or slightly greater than 3. Suppose x is slightly less than 3, means 2.999. So suppose you write 10 times 9, 2.109. If you substitute that value and square that value, what will be result? Your result will be 8.999 and so on. That will be very close to 9. So when x approaches to 3 or any another number, we know that it is not equal to 3. But to solve those problems, we put this limit, whatever the number, this x approaches to 3. And the reason is because if you put the actual value, you don't know what is the actual value, because we just know that x approaches to 3 means x is either slightly less than 2 or x is slightly greater than 2. Slightly less than 2 means slightly less than 3 means 2.99. How many 9 you can write? Suppose you write 1 crore 9, then still it is less than 3, so you cannot write those type of things. So in substitution we put direct value 3. Now another example, here x approaches to root 2, and this is the function. We want to, in limit actually what we want what is this function approaches to as x approaches to this number. As x approaches to this number, what is the number on which this function approaches? And this we have used here one result of the limit. If we have some expression of numerator and denominator form, you can take the limit of numerator and denominator separately. After that, you the first attempt that you should try is direct substitution method. So directly just replace x by 2. So root 2 cube plus 3. And here also root 2 is to power 4. So root 2 cube means multiply root 2 by 3 times. Root 2 into root 2 into root 2. So root 2 into root 2 is 2 and 1 root 2 left. So 2 into root 2 plus 3. 3 minus root 2 4 times. Power 4 means root 2 4 times. Root 2 into root 2 into root 2 into root 2. 4 times multiplication of root 2. So root 2 into root 2, 2. And again root 2 into root 2, 2. So 2 to the 4. So 3 minus 4 minus 1. So this is the result. So this function x square plus 3 divided by 3 minus x to the power 4. This function approaches to this number as x approaches to root 2. This is not the exact value of this. This is this limiting value. Let us take another example. Suppose x fx is 2 minus x cube when x is not equal to 0, and 3 if x equal to 0. Now here x approaches to 0 means x is not equal to 0. Either x slightly less than 0 or slightly greater than 0. And what is the value of the function when x is not equal to 0? This is the value 2 minus x square. That's why we have taken here 2 minus x square. Now after choosing the function value of the function, now what you have to do? You have to first try direct substitution method. Let us directly substitute value of x equal to 0. So after directly substituting x equal to 0, you get 0 square is 0, so 2 minus 0 is 2. You don't get any of those form, so we have directly substitute. Now come here. In this example, this is more interesting compared to the previous examples. Now here you want to find out the limit of x, limit of this function fx as x approaches to 1. Now we already know what is the meaning of x approaches to 1. Meaning of x approaches to 1 is either x is slightly less than 1 or x is slightly greater than 1, but x is not equal to 1. So in this function, what is the problem? If x is less than or equal to 2, we have another function. But if x is greater than 1, we have another function. So you cannot directly calculate this limit. So what you have to do, we have already discussed the concept of left and right hand limit. So first you have to calculate left hand limit. In previous examples, this is the fourth example. In first three examples, we did not calculate left and right hand limit, because in those cases we have same value of the function when as x approaches to x is less than that number. For example, in this example, when x approaches to 0 means x is either slightly less than 0 or x is slightly greater than 0. In both cases, value of the function was 2 minus x square. In this example, we have only one function, there is no choice. So here we have two choices. For x less than 1, we have another function, and for x greater than 1, we have another function. So we have to calculate left hand limit and right hand limit. So left hand limit, this is the notation, x approaches to 1 from left side. This negative sign represents x approaches to 1 but from left sides. Left side means x is coming close and close to 2, but it x less than 1 means 0.9, 0.99, 0.4 times 9, 0.5 times 9, and so on. So we are coming close and close to 2 but from left side. So in this case, this is the value. If x is less than 1, this is the value x square plus 1. So we have put here value x square plus 1. Now directly substitute x equal to 1. Whether we have left hand limit or right hand limit or direct limit, we substitute this number 1. If x tends to 1 negative, we put here 1. So 1 square, 1 plus 1, 2. So we have seen that left hand limit is 1, and let us denote this by equation number 1. Now we calculate right hand limit. X approaches to 0 positive. 0 positive means x is greater than x is approaching to 2, but x is greater than 2 means x is approaching to 1 from right side. But in see the definition of the function, if x is greater than 1, this is the value of the function, 1 minus x square. So let us put here 1 minus x square. So this is also explained here. If x approaches 2 positive means x is slightly greater than 1. Hence, value of the function is this. So after that, directly substitute, apply direct substitution method. So after putting x equal to 1, we get 1 square 1, 1 minus 1, 0. This is equation number 1. You see that right hand limit is 0, and what was the left hand limit? Left hand limit was 2. So from equation number 1 and 2, we see that left hand limit is not equal to right hand limit. In this case, we say that this limit does not exist. Limit exists only when both left hand limit and right hand limit are equal. Now there are the examples where there are the situations where this direct substitution method don't work. So we will see some techniques how to handle those type of problems. So first method in this direction is factorization method. And after factorization method, another method is least common multiplier method. One is rationalization method, and one is we use some standard results. Let us first discuss first method, factorization method. Now the factorization method is recall those 7 forms. These are the 7 forms: 0 by 0, infinity by infinity, 0 into infinity, infinity minus infinity, 0 is to power 0, infinity is to power 0, 1 is to power. If these 7 forms occurs after directly substituting the limit, you cannot directly substitute the limit because in mathematics these are not defined. So this first method, factorization method, works in this first situation. If we have 0 by 0 form, then we handle that by using a factorization method. So this method, factorization method, works in 0 by 0 form. What we do, if after substituting we are getting numerator 0 in numerator and 0 in denominator, it means it is a factor of the this x. If suppose by substituting x equal to a, we are getting 0 in the numerator and denominator, it means x minus a is factor in of both numerator and denominator. So what we will do, we will factorize numerator and denominator separately, and after factorization, we will cancel the common factor, and after cancelling the common factor, what we will do, we again apply direct substitution method, and this direct substitution method, if it works, okay, and if it don't work, then we will again repeat the same procedure. Let us see this example, x square minus 4 by x minus 2. In this situation, you see that if you directly substitute x equal to 2, so 2 square 4, 4 minus 4, in numerator we get 0, in denominator 2 minus 2 again 0, so we get 0 by 0 form. So in mathematics, this is not defined, so you cannot apply direct substitution method. So direct substitution method fails in this case. So let us use factorization method. What we will do, we will factorize. So 4 can be written as 2 square, and you know that formula is a square minus b square is a minus b, a plus b. So in this case, let us factorize this. X square minus 4 is x minus 2, x plus 2, and x minus 2 cancel with this x minus 2. Now one point that you should know why we are cancelling x minus 2, because if x approaches to 2, if this is 0, then you cannot cancel with 0, because x approaches to 2 means x is not equal to 2, and if x is not equal to 2 means x is not equal to 0, x minus 2 is not equal to 0. If this is not equal to 0, then we can cancel this factor with this. So we are left with x plus 2. Now we can now you can try again direct substitution method, and so 2 plus 2 is 4. So this is the direct substitution method. If direct substitution method fails, this is the factorization method. We will continue in the next session the other methods of the when the direct substitution method fails. What we will discuss other method in the next sessions. Thank you, learners.